Good morning, everybody. Welcome to DYOR Live. Starting this morning out with the Dow Jones up 13, S&P up 9, NASDAQ up 60, Russell 2000 up 15, and the VIX down 0.01. Now it's unchanged. Ladies and gentlemen, it's quite the boring day in the markets so far this morning, except for Bitcoin, which is continuing its slide down into the areas that Pedro called the past couple days, heading down towards that 107 mark. There is obviously some news this week. Friday is a PCI earnings or consumer spending number and that type of stuff. So liquidity is a little light right now in the market, but anyway, that's what it is. Anyway, today is August 28th, 2025. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking here in the digital media world. So glad to be hosting another great episode of this show called DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. We got my co-host and friend over here in the box next to me, which I didn't have his camera on, Mr. Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst here. Pedro, what's happening this morning? Not much. You're supposed to answer that. Man, there's so much happening, I can't even believe it on this show. There we go. It's pungent. Yeah, there you go. That's perfect. It's just like the man in the box next to me here. Mr. Trump is speaking as a cabinet meeting. Mr. Trump right now is taking credit for everything that's happened in the United States that's good. Even the flowers, the fall foliage starting to turn, he's taking credit for that. Car production's up 18,000 cars a month. He's taking credit for that. And everything. Life is good in the United States of America. Let me tell you that. Anyway, I enjoy listening to these cabinet meetings, especially there are good things. Pedro, yesterday we talked about how it's good to have a leader and at least somebody getting something done. You know, regardless of the politics, he's getting things done. Let's do that. Let's do that. You know, goes out in Washington, D.C. and said, this place is a shithole, let's fix it. A week later, it's fixed. All these things are good, and in the cabinet meetings, everyone comes to the meeting with something they fixed, but then they genuflect to Mr. Trump, and it gets a little much. It gets a little much. But regardless of the show that's going on, things are getting done in Washington, D.C., especially with crypto, helping us in the markets, helping us in everything, and that's why today, ladies and gentlemen, is Technical Tuesday. All right, everybody, just adding Twitter to the mix here. Welcome, everybody, coming to us on X. As I said a few minutes ago, starting off the show, talking about the Dow Jones. Now, as Trump is speaking, now is actually down just a little bit. Overall, the markets really are unchanged for the day. Listening to a cabinet meeting here going on in which, like I said, Mr. Trump is taking credit for pretty much everything, which is fine because a lot of the good things going on in the markets, especially here in crypto. This is kind of a dull week with the PCE numbers coming out on Friday, which give us an idea of how much consumer spending is going on. Is consumer spending going up, going down? Some people take consumer spending going up as good. Some people take it going down is good. Just one of those numbers, keeps a lot of liquidity out of the market, and as a result we see Bitcoin sliding down a little bit. As far as other numbers today, other things going on, usually Pedro covers this, but he's currently juicing himself up right now, as they say, with his potions and pizzas. Potions and pizzas, that's an interesting one. Let's see, we have there's an FOMC member, Barkin, speaking today. Durable goods happened this morning. Core durable goods. They were down a little bit, down less than expected. No, it hasn't been released yet. Wait, today's Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well. Anyway, like I said, everybody, welcome to the show today. Today's Technical Tuesday. Not like I said, not a lot going on this week. Not a lot has changed from last week, so we don't have a big Technical Tuesday for you. Pedro mentions having some numbers about housing and all that. We'll talk about how housing ultimately affects your bags. Obviously not your day trading bags, but your long-term holdings and that type of stuff. But first, Pedro, what's going on with the B, the T, and the C?
That is a good question. Bitcoin is coming down to what we talked about. It's like I talked about that potential 111, that 110 area acting as an area for us to take profit, or not profit, but a quick little short. And honestly, that 107 for the week is really what I'm looking at. When you look at the weekly 8, we're dealing with that 107 area with the 20 period moving average. We could be seeing a nice little bounce off of this. It's only about 2,000 points away, so we know that's basically a sneeze when it comes to Bitcoin. It can quickly get down there and see a bit of a bounce. So I'm looking at that weekly area here, sitting at that 107,470 area. As we come down into these plays, give me 1 second.
Hey, hold on, Pedro. Do you have part of your screen overlooking your screen you're capturing? Do you have a window?
No.
Oh no, that's my pricing screen. Oh, I got something weird going on here. my pricing screen is misbehaving.
It happens.
Pedro, yesterday when I was broadcasting what I thought was a Rumble premium episode last night, I had a couple of viewers, most notably Mr. Fire Chicken here, talking to us about just where Bitcoin is going and all that, and I was kind of trying to talk through it as a new guy, new guy to kind of figuring out where the market is going. In which, taking in the back of my mind that you said a good level that it was likely going to come was down in the 107s. And also I kept in mind that it likely would go up before it went down to 107. There would be it would rally a little bit and then head for its liquidity steal down in the 107s. And it's not going directly down to 107, but it's holding. It's only Tuesday. Let's get it this way. It's Tuesday in the week. And so it's kind of holding in that 109 area, the high 109s right now. And I was saying, well, I kind of expect it to go back up in the 110s and 111s. There was a, I can't see it on your chart, but whatever this high is here.
Right here?
Yeah, what number is that?
That's that 113 area.
All right, well, somewhere below that, like in the 110, 111 area, that it might come up to that and then head back down to 107. Somewhere before the end of the week. That was kind of my educated guess, running through all the things that you say are likely to happen in it. And I was trying to associate the candles in it too, to see, if a daily candle or the weekly candle, where it was in the making the supply and demand wicks and that type of stuff. So personally, before it dumps down to 107, I'm expecting it to go a little higher. Am I in the right track here, or am I kind of just reciting parts of shit that doesn't really make any sense to real traders?
I think both. It's never, your analysis, you've got a good instinct, obviously. And I think a lot has to do with you being on the floor for years, for, what was it, 4 years, 3-4 years when you're in college. And so I think you innately kind of, because you were literally there. I can only imagine what it was like. And so you have that feeling of like what it can do. So, but how it looks and what it actually, how it's going to do it, it's always a little tricky, and it's never clear cut. It's dynamic, right? It's not something that you can sit there and just say, oh, this is the way it is, because that's not how trading is done. Trading is done by literally, you go through, you assess, and then you have to, pivot if in case your plan it doesn't go through, right? You can always, the old saying, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face. So it's that's how trading is, right? So the key is be paying attention to where you have pivot points, and in additionally to that, areas that you could actually take advantage of a market move. So for example, you can see here that we were going down. We're putting in definitely demand and supply wicks down at these lower levels, right? Like we have supply wicks, we have demand wicks coming in, more demand wicks coming in than supply wicks. But you can see overall, they want to push the market down. And so for me, like it may not hit down 107, but if I can take part in, capturing part of, let's say, from 1010 area, which is acting as a resistance level because we sold through it, came back up, and that resistance level or that support level now turned resistance, right, is now going to act as resistance to push it down even further to the next demand level or liquidity level. So that's that 107 area. Now, are they putting in their positions? Absolutely. Up here, you can see it is dominated by demand wicks. Are they finished with it? Well, we're still on Tuesday. And so probably by Wednesday, we might be hit down at these lower levels. What you want to be paying attention to is if we start to show volume on the smaller time frames with higher than amount of buying, right? Somewhere it's like, okay, you can see here is the average volume. You can see here that on average you see more or less buyer volume coming in. That explains why we see more demand wicks from a day trading standpoint. But we are below the moving averages, right? So that means they're most likely going to continue it down until we hit that lower level here. And it's really important to understand that even though they're putting in buyer wicks, demand wicks, if the trend is down, you go short, because that helps you understand. And that's why I use the moving averages at large. That's why I have multiple time frames. It's just not 5, 15, and 30 minute, but I also use the 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hour, 8 hour markets that communicates to me, all right, your smaller time frames are still bearish, your higher time frames are bearish. So most likely it's when we have that pull back, even though we're putting in demand wicks, it's pulling back to these other supply or these other dynamic supply areas, i.e. called moving averages. It's the moving, and what I do is I correlate the moving averages with my supply wicks, and hence basically gives me a higher chance of where sellers step in or buyers stepping in. And so it's one of those things that I use. Now you can see here that we are definitely seeing kind of a die-off of sellers, right? You can see here on that daily chart, we're starting to see, sellers are weakening, right? Now, the other thing I think, and I realized this, I was going to bring this up, forgive me, because I know you're going to hate me for doing this, but shout out to Costco's Pizza. If you want to sponsor us,
that's
you're
so
more than
disgusting.
welcome. Good for you. Put Sarah on your
Man,
chest.
it's so greasy. It is. I mean, it's just every time I've ever had it, and you put the napkin on top, and you pull the napkin off, and it's just grease that just lights up your intestines, lights them up.
Pretty much, yeah. It's a good quick meal, real quick. All right, I will be back in a second.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got Donald Trump speaking over here. I got it on the screen up here right now. Everything that's good that's happened in the United States, even the weather in Florida, he's taking credit for it. The hurricane missing kind of the U.S., he took credit for it. I don't know why I can hear it twice, though.
What's up?
Oh, that's why.
Am I echoing?
Sorry, I was just talking about Mr. Trump. Anyway, thanks to everyone that's watching us here today. Low crowd today. get it boosting up there. Although we got some people watching over us on YouTube. Thanks for joining us, everybody on YouTube. Baby Draco in the house over on the YouTube. Why didn't I get your comments there? There they are. They just had to feed in there, right? Baby Draco says, let's go. He said, Infineon's official mascot, by the way. Gotta have the guys from Infineon over here to let us know how their blockchain and their Lunar Pump Fun launchpad is going. Pedro, I just saw a note that as much as we've been bad talking Pump Fun lately and about other platforms, had been eating into it and overtaking them, Pump Fun has blasted them all. Their total share of the market is back to 90%. In killing it, so maybe Lunar Pump Fun here on Infineon can take some of that. Baby Draco says, hola, Tom and Pedro. Hola, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo estoy? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estoy? I can't remember which one. America, I'd play the eagle, but I can't run the sound effects right now without the computer crashing. Fire Chicken making the rounds, mining the fiat, then he'll be in the house. Baby Draco says, hope you didn't lose your Pedro Damas powers. Ka-ching in the house. Ka-ching! No sound effect for you today. It's not running. Thanks for joining us. Ka-ching. Crypto Mike in the house. Yo-yo ma peeps. What's happening? All the boys are showing up today. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. And thank you everyone joining us over on YouTube. Besides Baby Draco, let's drop some chats over there. Get the user count going. Not because we feel that we need big numbers, but we want more people to engage with us. So it pushes it out to the great algorithm in the first place. So remember to give everything a like and a share. In fact, I need to do that to my own stream that I'm following. Where? I got to tell you, I'm monitoring Trump in my ear, and it's hilarious hearing his.
How so?
Just hearing the din of him talking without even understanding what he's talking about. It's like listening to the guy at the head of the circus. You know, the ring. I forget what it's called. The guy that's in charge of the circus in the middle. The head dude.
Like the ringmaster guy. Yeah.
Ringmaster. Yeah. I don't.
Yeah.
Remember, everyone, also, if you're watching on Rumble, please repost. All right, let's get the music back up and running here. With something else today that won't grab the. Try this one, see if this works. Ooh, this one might work today. Let's add that to the show. The Sky Gaze by Post Bloom. Appears to be in my folder that says licensed music. We'll find out. I welcome everyone joining us on all platforms today, especially on X and LinkedIn. Where did my LinkedIn feed go? There it is. Let's get the comments going on LinkedIn here. Actually, let's get the comments going for everything. Pedro, I'm going to spend like two minutes or so doing the great comment machine here. What's going on with Ethereum too? Yesterday we talked about how Bitcoin would be going down, but Ethereum would be going up. Is that still going on?
Let's check and see. Yes, it is. Ethereum is moving up. Like I said, I actually am so arrogant to say that. I apologize. But I mean, you can see here that we saw the bounce off this level here. We talked about that 44.11 area being an area that we could see a bounce, But then at the same time, we also said that the 4069 area is an area of liquidity. So I didn't know exactly if we were going to find support at this level or find support at that 4069 area. So one of the things I always bring up for you guys is that as we are moving in the market, one of the things you want to be paying attention to is, the smaller time frames. Are we seeing buyers step in at these lower levels? And if we are, then we want to sit there and see an increase in volume, right? And you can see here we're really not, even though we're seeing a push up, right, on this 30-minute time frame, we're not really seeing some major buyers stepping in. And so when we do, we see it more at the top up in these levels, which is the indication of novices that are trying to buy. But either way, as we're seeing the market push up and continue, we're watching it bring in buyers, but you're also seeing an equal part of sellers. So I'm still very much bullish in this with Ethereum pushing up, but I do think that we're going to see a bit of a pullback here, even a little bit further. But again, I think you could be paying attention to Ethereum to see if Bitcoin's going to push up. So it could be a leading indicator to kind of see what's happening. Now, it sure didn't help when Scott Besson made the comment simply stating, hey, the government is not going to be buying Bitcoin on the open market. Yet, he did also say, though, that there are other organizations that may. So he was kind of cryptic in some of his statements. So that sure didn't help Bitcoin. So, but we know though that Bitcoin and Ethereum are something of them. The president himself has both in his wallet. So does Mr. What's his name? Eric Trump, the president's eldest, I believe.
Yes, he is the eldest son.
Who runs the financial firm. Smart guy. He knows how to play the game. I did ask him on a thread who he actually specifically called out a chick who is it was interesting. She had been calling him out for pulling liquidity. And sure enough, man, what's so interesting is that he responded back to her like when Bitcoin hit or Ethereum hit certain highs, he's like, see, I told you. And she's like, yeah, but right when you posted your thing of, hey, Ethereum's going to go to the moon, like it's sold off. Like that is you dropping like liquidity, or you're basically using us as exit liquidity.
Oh.
And and he never really responded back. But I simply said, hey, Mr. Eric Trump, look, we would love to catch your view on the crypto market. Please, our show, which is DYOR Media Network, which is on Rumble, would love to hear your side of the story. Please come along. So if Eric Trump happens to come on our show, you now know why. This guy with the thumbs.
He's sitting there like, I can't wait to go on this show.
That's exactly what he's saying. He's like, oh man, it is game on. Those guys look great.
He's like, I'm gonna skip my show on Rumble and just go on Tom and Pedro's show.
That's exactly what he's going to do. How did you know, man? You knew exactly. Sorry about that, people.
Beta preview editor.
Sorry about that. I'm still dealing with a little bit of some of this right here, and it's a pain in the butt. So forgive me for that. I will try not to cough in your guys' ears. All right, so let's go ahead and look at some stuff here because I think it's really interesting to see what's actually happening. So let's go ahead and start at the top of the market here, like what we talked about. We're watching again that the global market itself is still creating new all-time highs. Everything is great and amazing. People are making money, even though a lot of the world is falling apart. But the stock market says it's great, so that means it must be great. All right, so you can see here that we're seeing a push up. This includes the top stocks around the world, and you can be a part in it right here. Now let's check out the ES. The ES is looking quite cool. It's basically kind of chilling out right now. We're starting to see it kind of pull back, but ultimately it's still a couple hundred points from, or sorry, we're about 150 points away from all-time highs again. So I would expect us to probably we sold off on Monday with weak seller volume, which means most likely we're going to see it kind of go higher here. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that moves. Put in a decent buyer wick here, so we could see us potentially hitting a new all-time high of that potentially 65.50 area, which would be sitting right here as a whole number. The other thing we could be paying attention to as well is the NASDAQ, because the NASDAQ, as we've all said, is kind of like how the S&P 500 play with us. So, or not the S&P, it's how it plays. NASDAQ is the one that plays with Bitcoin and crypto. And so kind of if this has a very kind of a chill day, crypto a lot of times will have a chill day. And you can see here that the NASDAQ is a shadow of its typical self. I mean, today it's literally had it's chilling out. Typically the daily movement is about 286, which is the daily ATR, average true range of the daily candle. And right now it's barely, what is that? 555 and 555, maybe 200. No, it's not even 200. 555. That'd be, come on, brain. That'd be 20, 15. And then
my brain's not doing math this morning either.
150, 165. That's 165. It is it's almost half of the daily ATR. And so this is why it kind of explains to the guys in the trenches. Trenches are kind of like slowing down here, simply because we're watching it play and base itself off of this. So money inflow and outflow. And you know as much as I do, like I truly think that Eric Trump and a lot of these other guys definitely mess with the degenic movement of the market. They definitely pay attention because there's so much money that could be really made within degen. Like you throw in $10,000, $15,000 in some of these plays, and you walk out literally with $2-3 million, $5 million. Like, and you get out, especially like when we talk about Wheezy, right? Like Yeezy. Why did I say Wheezy? That easy, right? Shout out to Fire Chicken as well. Hopefully Fire Chicken will get on the radar, which they will. But let's check out Yeezy here because I just thought it was real interesting.
Pedro, I put a timer in the, and I don't know if you can see it on your phone.
Yep.
I'm going to read a commercial break then and send the YouTube people off to their own commercial break then.
Gotcha. Ooh, that is cool. Looks like GMGM is really doing a good job. Wow. Custom detailed page layout.
Yeah, they're a great site.
And remember when they first came out, they were and now, dude, they're just killing it. Like legit. Like, all right, so it looks like GMGM wants to know. I don't want to get notifications. All right, so what I think was really interesting is, Tom, did you take part in Yeezy?
I did not.
Oh man. Yeah, it's all right.
I did not.
It's so just kind of consolidating from yesterday, but yesterday it just kind of went sideways, and today it kind of went sideways, but it's about to fall through. Sometimes you can see it's breaking the resistance here, or support here. You can already starting to see it wants to come down. I mean, imagine just taking long and shorts on these. You're talking hundreds and hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars on a quick trade of like 5 days, right? Like it's not bad at all. It's almost easy money. So it's going to be really interesting. And all these things right here are all KOLs. What I thought was so interesting about GMGM GMGN, that's Golf Mike, Golf Nancy, is that the way that they actually set up now, like callers calling them, how like what's actually happening, that is such a huge thing. Because like if somebody's calling them or talking about certain levels, you can go check it out and go, ooh, look at that. That's cool, right? So anyways, let's talk about this here real quick.
Well, just on that note on GMGN, one of the really good things about it is that it's fast. It's very fast. When you use their trading platform from their web or their Telegram bot, it's amazingly fast because they don't just go through regular web integrations with various DEXs. They build in their APIs, so they have blazing fast speed. And even like when I can't remember I can't remember which DEX it was overwhelmed by traffic from its website. The website consumes a lot of resources. They just went right into the back end through the API and were getting trades done much faster and stuff like that. And so it got a lot of people going over there, especially when you're degenning and things are pumping or crashing, and half a second makes a difference on a coin launch, whether you're rich or poor.
Whether you're rich or like just being like, man, I only made $10, or dude, I just made $50,000. Yeah, they have a good system. Yeah, you can see it's already starting to push through. Look at the moving average starting to play off of it. Anyways, so as I digress, forgive me for that.
There's a way to turn all those faces off, the logos where people sell. I just can't. I can't remember it.
I believe it is.
I've also just realized I also had the Space Lounge logo up the whole time instead of the DYOR.
There you go. It's all good. It happens.
Oh, that's how observant our viewers are. They're so interested in making money, they don't care what logos are on the screen. They're just like, give me more Pedro, give me more Pedro, give me more Pedro. Fuck the logos.
It's funny. I actually made a comment. That's what it's Crypto Megan. ATH. Nah, she did not just follow. Holy no. Okay. I thought it was the real one. I was like,
yeah, I got a fake one the other day, and they even had 10,000 followers. And I was like, ooh, it's the real XXXXXXX person. I was like, that's pretty cool. And then I was like, wait a minute. Why would that person follow me right off the bat? And then I noticed their feed, there's a L instead of a I in their name. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, pretty much. But
see, Mike was observant. Mike noticed the Space Lounge thing. When we go to commercial here, I will fix. Actually, I won't, because I'm not going to commercial. Just the. I have to read the commercial.
Well,
now I
shout out
which one.
Shout out to Crypto Megan, all-time high. What's up? If you're watching us, please hit the like and subscribe button. Really appreciate that. If you did do that, it always helps us out. Thank you very much. Alrighty. So let's talk about a couple other things here. I think is really important to see. Now,
remember the clock.
Yes, and we're gonna
hard for Pedro to work on a timer here.
It is, but it's good to see that. Okay, now you can see here that we're watching the Russell 2000 here, the RTY, and what's interesting is with the RTY, it is starting to make all-time highs here, which is really, really interesting. What's interesting more than anything about this is that if this thing goes to all-time high, and we know what's actually happening with the actual economy and things slowing down, is it really adequate to be able to sit there and say that this is actually playing the way it's supposed to? So we're going to keep looking at this and see what's happening. But it's only, it's only 100 points away. Now, granted, that's a lot of points, right? But it's still one of those ones that I'm going to be paying attention to and really kind of gauge what's actually happening here. And the biggest thing behind, as I close this thought up, is that as we continue up, if we keep seeing numbers that aren't correct, you know it's being fixed. All right, Tom, right over back to you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna spend a second or two paying the bills here, and I gotta get the timing right to do this right.
Ads.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to our commercial break. I'd like to. All right, let's just start at the top of the hour. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here at Digital Media Universe. It's the top of the hour. It's 1 p.m. here, Eastern Standard Time. It's in the middle of the day. President Trump is still, as you can see over my shoulder here, having his cabinet meeting where he's taking credit for everything, including the market, including all the great investments in the United States, including this, and that. But I'll tell you what, I'll give him credit for cleaning up Washington, D.C., been turning into a sinkhole, and he's got it pretty much fixed up in just a couple of weeks. Anyway, Dow Jones is up 3, S&P up 7, NASDAQ up 45, Russell 2000's up 23, and even the VIX is up a little bit here today, when usually that is the opposite of everything else. So in other words, not much has changed. S&P 500 is little changed as traders listen to Trump's latest salvo in the cabinet room, and also his attack on the Fed. But anyway, today we're talking about Technical Tuesday here, and in this half of the show, Pedro's going to talk about not as in depth as many weeks as he does, but Pedro did mention in the prelude to the show that there would be some talks about housing starts and what's going on with housing and why housing will affect your bags. Pedro, what's up with Technical Tuesday and housing?
Well, I think this has more to do with the idea that the numbers that we're coming out with are just highlighting some of the good housing numbers that are more up north than up south. Down south, we're actually seeing a drag in housing, and we're literally seeing people, as I said yesterday, create loan options apart from banks to get people to buy houses, i.e. basically saying, you know what, instead of you having to go through and buying this house for, let's say, $50,000, right, putting down, we'll give you will let you get into the house. And these are actual developers where they go in and say, you know what, you can put $20,000 and we'll add an additional interest rate to it, but it'll be within your actual pay so you can actually buy this house. And then once they drop the rates, you can refi the house. But they're trying to get rid of supply, and this is happening all over the South. And so these are numbers that are being basically kind of faked. They're not, when I say faked, I mean literally numbers that, apart from real economic, factors, these numbers would not be correct. Meaning, you normally would not be able to buy directly from who? The developers, right? And so these are these small subtleties that we're actually seeing right now that is actually pretty sad, and it's not being talked about. And the part that's maddening is that, like, if this stops, then guess what we have? We have another 2008 crisis, and they're going to ask, what happened? And the rest of us are going to go, this, and they're going to say, no, it was the conspiracy theories, and it was the predatory movement by the developers. And it's like, no.
I don't know if you're trying to put something on your screen that you're showing us. All I see is looks like, I don't know what screen it is.
This is the RTY. So this has to do with the smallest, biggest businesses in our country. And this is pushing up. Yet we know that major corporate entities are having major problems. They're laying people off. They're cutting hours. They are literally making sure that as they get rid of other employees, they do increase pay rate for the employees that they do bring in. Not excessive, but enough to where it keeps them happy. But again, these things, these metrics are not being talked about within the reports, and they're not, and they use a bunch of fancy words like, anyways, it's just it is the wordage that is what is making me mad. Talk about the real issues and let's fix them. Jerome Powell, fix the issue. Just don't sit there and play the saying, oh, we're now seeing that the job market is now easing. Like, we've been seeing the job market easing for months, if not a couple years. Yet you guys did not talk about it. And now that we removed the person who was fixing the numbers, but still wasn't smart enough to make sure all the numbers correlated. But apart from that, you still could have seen it, and you didn't want to see it. So a lot of the people who are part of the Fed, y'all know, y'all responsible for this. And you should have been lowering rates a little bit. Now you're going to have to drop interest rates here. And it's going to kill the economy, because the truth is interest rates do not truly help the economy to truly bounce. It takes a while, and it takes consumer confidence. People not being afraid that their jobs are going to get X'd and that they're going to be on unemployment. It's them sitting there going, okay, we're seeing.
Let me bridge that back to the housing thing, Pedro. The lack of the rates coming down directly affects the housing market, because since as long as I can remember, people have been so used to having just cheap rates and being able to borrow money for essentially nothing compared to our, the previous generation. I mean, even when my first house I bought, the lowest rate I could get, and I had to jump through hoops to get to this possible rate, was 7% on my mortgage. And I was so happy to get it. People were getting 8 and 9% interest rates. And I remember my parents having a 17% interest rate on their house. And now
That's
people
vulgar.
are so spoiled with, like, they were having 1 and 2% variable rates. And obviously all those people got hammered with the rise in rates and all that type of stuff. But they pushed a massive bubble into the housing market by being able to buy houses. In fact, you spoke about a friend who, after the housing crunch, had 5 houses or something like that, and
did very well.
And
for
people
himself.
got spoiled doing that, and that's atypical. That's like, buying at the beginning of the bull run, or buying right when SafeMoon was launched. You're like, oh, this crypto is easy. I just 1000x to Put in $1,000, now I have $10 million. This is great stuff. Easy. I'm so good at it. I'm an expert. And that's not how normal housing is. And what I don't like about the housing, I don't like that a big part of the market and the technical indicators, the technical Tuesday stuff, the government stuff, and the market people, that they rely on housing starts. I don't like that at all. I don't think they should do that, because the housing market to me is fake. It's artificially constrained by local governments. It's massively artificially constrained. If there were no zoning laws, or at least reasonable zoning laws, there would be inexpensive available housing for anyone. There'd be reasonable prices for whatever type of house you wanted. You wanted a little hut because you're poor, there would be nice little huts for you to buy. If you wanted, $20 million mansions, there would be, as many as you wanted at that price. But local cities don't allow it. They constrain the market artificially, and it's a false market. But Wall Street relies on those numbers. It doesn't make any sense. And I also don't think it's a good number, and I don't like it, because it forces companies like Remington and Ryland Homes and those big, massive home builders that just plow down cornfields and build shitty homes. Shitty. I mean, they may look nice and have nice amenities, but the tornadoes just blow them over, and they're just crappy. You watch the building inspection channels, and they just rip all these things apart. And local cities and stuff like that, especially in Florida, love those things because they earn money from connecting to the sewer, connecting to the water, all that type of stuff. It's a big racket. It's a racket, and I don't like it. And I don't like it at all, because it builds poor housing. The reliance on those numbers causes companies and cities to like those companies to build crappy housing, and to build housing which actually costs more in the long run. When you build housing out in the suburbs and stuff, do you know that it doesn't pay for itself? That you almost cannot charge enough in payroll or in property tax to pay for the roads and the infrastructure. People are like, oh, well, I pay $5,000 a year. I pay $10,000 a year. When you look at the studies, in almost every case, the downtown core, which is dense, funds the suburbs and their infrastructure. And the downtown is generally, in most cities, is poor and or business. And then, when you go down a suburban road and they have a paved road and there's 15 houses on it, and you just tell them, all right, it's time to repave the road. It's going to be $3 million. And we're just going to divide it up amongst you guys that live on this street. Do you know how many people would have dirt roads? But instead they're like, well, it's the city's responsibility. And it is, but the city doesn't charge enough, absolutely doesn't charge enough in property tax to take care of the infrastructure. So every time I hear the government and Wall Street, those people talking about housing starts, I think that's good, because it shows, is the population increasing? Is there more demand on services? Is there more, mortgages coming out? Is more borrowing? What's the rates at? I get that. But it's all bullshit. That's from my point of view on that. And I have a little, my part of my family was in the real estate business for 40 years. I helped in that industry when I was a young kid, running around working for that part of the family. And so I follow it a lot. An ex-wife of mine even worked in that massive plow down the cornfield business and just go for volume and housing. As I call it, creating tomorrow's slums today. And so I every time I see one of these shitty developments. And then they say luxury homes from the low 150s in Texas. And you're like, oh, they're luxury? Really? Really? Welcome, Fire Chicken. Here we are. It's party time, he says. It's not Friday. It's Technical Tuesday. Anyway, what's going on with Fire Chicken there, Chuck? Let us know what's going on. Chuck was talking about how successful Fire Chick has been doing his little pet project there, and how he's fending off the trolls and the KOLs that want to steal all his hard-earned money and liquidity and that of his investors. Good job doing that. Anyway, and as always, we've got quite the varied audience today. A bunch of us here on Rumble. There's actually a bunch of people that have tuned in to the YouTube thing. I tried to do a little bit more outreach to that. for YouTube. And of course, everyone, I was going to say everyone watching on X, but that stream failed. X has been is trying to upgrade their streaming platform again, and doesn't always work. But I want a special shout out to everyone on LinkedIn. I see a couple of you tuning in over there now and then. Please drop a comment and a like. We like you guys over at LinkedIn because every once in a while something goes bonkers. Just like Pedro, we're also on Facebook today.
Yes.
And so if you go over to the DYOR live thing and repost that to your favorite Facebook groups, those videos, every once in a while, Pedro, those videos on Facebook just get a whole shit ton of views. Now, the viewage is short. Yeah. The viewage is short, but doesn't matter. Gets the word out, and you get new people watching.
Yeah.
That type of stuff. I posted it to my high school friends group the other day. Actually, I broadcasted into that group, and 105 people tuned in at one point. It was, a low amount, but enough to get a comment or two, that type of stuff. Anyway, all those numbers help. All those numbers help. Just like when Jesus is at an auction and they bring in, instead of bringing in 10 Mini Coopers, they just bring in one, means people are going to bid that up.
Bid it up, and bid it up well. All right, so let's also go over some other stuff I think is really interesting. All right, now we've talked about bonds and everything that correlates there. We've been talking about short yield versus the long yield of the curve here. And what's interesting is that as we're moving, I think what's something that really is unique here is the fact that we're watching, even Powell is saying they're going to most likely drop rates, but we're not seeing the short-term yield like really sell off. I feel like they're almost like, are you gonna, like, I feel like they're like, I don't know about this. Like, are you gonna mess with us again? Because there's been multiple times where he should have lowered the rates and he didn't. And so it's almost like at this point where they're just like, yeah, we ain't gonna get suckered into this as a trader, because they feel like maybe somebody is taking the other side to that trade. So really interesting to see the traders kind of chilling right here, especially when you just talk about the 1 month all the way down to the 5-year yield. It's just kind of chilling here between these levels, and maybe it's a 10-cent range here over the last couple days or weeks. And so with that said, we could be seeing the yields, if it does start to pick up, we want to see it get below on that 5-year. We want to see it get below the this little bit. I love the term idiot box, bro. I don't know why. It's just like the best.
It is awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But this sideways mark here, just chilling here. And you can see here that if we get below that 3.72 area, we're going to see this thing come back down to the lows of the 352 area. And so I would expect. And so that's in a nutshell. I know you got to go through and read another thing. So you want to do it?
Oh, did the timer reset itself?
Yep.
Oh, sorry. I didn't. That was my fault. I didn't mean to let it reset itself.
Oh, okay. Boom. All right. So I just realized that. All right.
I still have a couple of minutes for that.
That's all right. So when it comes down to the bonds playing these, it's been really interesting because now these aren't the bonds, these are the yields here for the bonds, so the bonds you pay for and they give you a yield. This is the interest rates in which they give you the yield. Now, what's going to be really interesting is if the Fed lowers rates, you're going to have a conundrum, because that means our people are going to hold on to the previous bonds, right, that were at such lower levels, and you're going to almost be stuck in between this little area here. And so people in general, I think it's going to mess up the housing, because here's the thing to talk about this. If jobs, are literally laying people off, if employers are laying people off, and we're seeing a decrease in hours worked with people who are still on the market, the fundamental thing that you need is literally people to have jobs so that they can actually buy houses. And so you can lower the rates all that you want, but it doesn't mean anything because literally they can't get it up to get in the hole. Literally.
Sorry, you hit right on something Chuck and I were joking about yesterday. I mentioned finishing early, and Chuck said I mentioned all the supplements you were selling yesterday.
But I mean, not to be crude here, but I mean, that's literally the point, is that people need jobs. They need increase in wages that stay above literally inflation. And if you can't provide food for your family, what makes you think that you're going to be looking to get into a house? And so
Right.
this is where it's just kind of frustrating to sit there and see what's actually happening here. That they talk about everything is amazing, but the people in the trenches, i.e. me, you, Tom, and everybody else who listens to us, are going, what are you talking about? And so this is where I sit there and go, if we see the drop in rates kick in, okay, I don't think it's going to have that much of a push. I don't think, because there's not enough jobs. And I know I just counter talked what you just talked about earlier about, interest rates dropping, but there aren't good paying jobs to be able to sustain the value of the houses. Now we've got to see houses drop in value here substantially. And in a sense where we're talking like 30% on a housing for people to really sit there and say, I want to buy this house. I'll do whatever it takes. Right. And I think that in itself, and that's going to come here soon, because what's going to happen? People don't have the money to be able to put into the economy. And so money that is held is literally a cancer to an economy. And so right now, people are starting to hold. People aren't out there spending. People don't have the credit or the credit on their credit cards to be able to go out and put money on credit cards. And so we're going to start seeing a slowdown here. And they're going to sit there and try to do a whole entire lower interest rates, but it's not going to work. And so right now we're starting to see kind of things is kind of hesitating here and kind of waiting here to see what's going to happen. And I think that they're not going to be able to do much, and we're going to see a bit of a catastrophe here. If Trump, though, can get rid of the red tape and allow for real manufacturing jobs to kick in, this will jumpstart everything. And I know we've talked about how, well, what's the point? Listen, manufacturing jobs literally produce it's a 2.69x of whatever money is put into it. So if you put $1 into a manufacturing job that is going to create manufacturing, it literally produces $2.69 for the GDP. And if it's in private sector jobs, instead of the government trying to get it going, it actually acts as a real income generation for the actual government. And so I keep saying this because he keeps saying, oh, we're getting money in from the tariffs and also the energy connections with a lot of the countries out overseas, a lot of the geopolitical movements that are happening. But I keep hitting the point that you need to create real jobs here, real jobs. And in addition to that, by doing that, we got to fight with India. We need to fight with a lot of these other places. We already know that China's having a hard time, but listen, they're not out of the picture yet. So it's something you need to be paying attention to. Mr. President, push away the red tape and really push hard for real manufacturing jobs, even if it's robots. Because here's the key, that will generate business. Hence, those businesses will be able to generate more employees. So it's just one of those things that I feel like, just looking at, for every one manufacturing job, it creates 2.69 jobs. That's a good way of looking at it.
You know what's a good thing to look at also, Pedro? Is Fire Chicken donating $10.
Yeah.
That's the holler thing.
Fire Fire chicken, let's go.
Don't have the sound effect machine running today. Always appreciate the knowledge and humor. Let's keep pushing to help our Rumble presence grow. Keep it up, Tom and Pedro. Thank you very much, Mr. Chuck. And I agree with you, Chuck, on your other. He commented from his LinkedIn profile here, and then Fire Chicken says, "Man, that guy looks too serious," and much younger than I believe the current version of Mr. Jansen. As usual, LinkedIn has photos of all of us when I think mine's 10 years old, but I haven't changed that much. Just got some gray hair here and less hair.
Less hair.
But thank you, Chuck. As always, those donations go to help Pedro and I put on a better show, and also to tell the algorithm that something good is going on here, because the content is so good that our content separates money out of your wallet and puts it into our wallets. Whoop. And that is an amazing skill to have. Very few people can do that. Chuck says, "Hey, that's just 2.5 years ago." Sorry, Chuck. Let me fluff up that hair and fix that hairline there. All right, I'm gonna read an ad here because it's obviously time to have some coffee, Pedro, right?
Oh yeah, it's always time.
All right, let's get the ladies and gentlemen, all of you watching on the other platforms, please enjoy this commercial break while I read a commercial break on Rumble. right, everybody, welcome back on YouTube from that small break. Everybody on X, everyone on LinkedIn and Facebook, thanks for holding on and watching while over here on Rumble we read an ad and earned us the fat stacks of cash. Kaching commenting, get some effing coffee, Chuck. And then back to the picture. Good photography takes a couple of years off. It does, and also a little Photoshop. little Photoshop never hurts. In fact, I my striking photo here that I do this. I point. I have to admit that's Photoshop. That's right. I had to make myself look shorter and fatter in it. Seriously, because when I grabbed that frame from a video, it was a video that I made for an old thing in which I said "be there" at the end of it and pointed. But the camera was looking down at me like this, so it made my head look big, and then tall and long. It was like little, and so I had to, and I did it many years ago, but I forgot that I did that, and I found the original. I was like, oh good, because the original I've copied and screen captured them so many times the resolution was starting to get bad. So I found the original, and I was like, who the hell is that? And I had way more freckles and the stuff that this camera doesn't pick up, but when I used my Super HD camera to make the video, I have all these freckles, and I look like, it's a famous episode of the show 30 Rock, in which Tina Fey and Alec Baldwin, it was the day that their TV station was switching over from regular definition to high definition.
Yeah.
And Tina Fey is like, oh, she's all worried about it and this type of stuff because the cameras are so good, switching from the old to the new. And she steps in front of the camera, and all they show is the director's monitor. And outside the camera, she looks kind of like I do right now. But when she gets behind the camera and you see in the director's monitor, she's got like Band-Aids on her face and stitches and a black eye and this type of stuff. It was pretty funny. So actually, even I photoshopped my stuff. And Pedro, on the thumbnails, not the Technical Tuesday one that's old, but the ones I just started using this week and last week, you're photoshopped on it too. Because the picture I was able to grab stops like here. And so I'm in the thing like this and you're down here. And so finally I said, all right. So I moved it over to Photoshop and I told the AI, add more to this man here. And so he added more of your vest and your shirt so I could make us more equal on the thing.
Right. Well, I gave you a new picture. So basically,
I saw that. So we'll switch to using that one.
Yeah, I figured. So let's talk about bonds, long-term bonds here. So we've talked about us seeing a bond price of 132, if not much higher. And so I honestly think we're going to be getting to that 138 to the 137 mark area here. You can see, even though we're definitely putting in a lot of seller volume, we're definitely putting in a lot of buyer volume coming in, seller volume, but we're seeing a lot of buyer wicks kicking in. And so you can see here that I'm definitely very bullish on bonds here. I'm expecting us to see us get to the bonds of a 138 to the 137 area, or to the 137 to the 138 area, literally because this play here will be an epic.
Sorry, I screwed up the screen there, Pedro. Things are running a little slow here.
It's all right.
Come on, man. Good news, I got the price graphic running. Let's see if it brings up the chart here. No, it's just not doing anything.
It's all right.
All right, give me a second here. Let's see if we can do it this way. I swear. I know, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday you heard me complaining about upgrading all the software or bringing in new editions of everything, and it worked fine in setup, and then when it came time for the show, it didn't work, and I was complaining. So I went back to the manufacturers of this stuff overnight there. They sent me a special beta version of this broadcast software, and it works worse. Now I can't even change any of the screens. Yeah, Crypto Mike says, I think we need to get Tom a new computer. Yeah, the comments seem to work fine. Right? That's never a problem. I don't know why. But Pedro's screen here is not coming up here. Oh, hell. Just give me 1 second to... All right, Pedro, just... are you frozen there?
Nope, just waiting.
Nope. Well, I'm
all right.
This is going to take a minute to work itself out here, but go ahead and keep talking about things, and
yeah,
I'll get this. Good Lord.
So one of the things that's going to move a little bit forward here, and we can talk about this. So we've been talking about China and its explosiveness up. Yet we know that their economy is kind of falling in on itself and things aren't the best. So with that said, I would expect to see some major news out of China potentially coming from a negative standpoint, because they can push the market up here just like how we're pushing the market up on us. But ultimately, when push comes to shove, jobs have to come in, and we know that their jobs are falling apart because we've been watching the American the fact that we buy all their stuff just pull away. So it's going to be really interesting to see as we continue to move forward, are they going to keep pushing their market up? There's going to come some major supply here coming up here, so it's going to be up in that $40 mark. Now right now we're sitting at 30, so we're about 30% away, or about actually 50% away of where they're sitting right now. But on the back end, looking at this play here, if they do get up to this higher level of that $40 mark on the PGJ, I would expect it to really respond where we see a sell-off. It's really that $37 to $40 mark on the PGJ for the ETF. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to sit there and see. Now let's talk about our dollar play. We're seeing the pullback for this month so far, but really the truth is we just been playing off of the supply area here on the daily that we've been kind of playing off of. And so it's a weak area, but we played off of that. We're coming back down, but we're showing some strength coming on the US dollar because we're seeing a bit of a sell-off so far this week. So it's a good sign that bodes well for us as this trade progresses here. Tom, how you doing over there, bud?
I'm fighting it, trying
Alrighty.
to keep it from coming to a halt altogether.
It's all right. It's all right.
Oh, I love that. I just love it so much. I don't even think I'm even on screen. I think my camera crashed.
Yes. All right. Next. Okay, so we can actually go over some news here real quick, and then we'll go through. Give me 1 second. Let's go over some news, which will be good for us to go over. We're going to go over the top news. Come on, big guys. All righty. Oh, looks like it doesn't want to go. Well, it doesn't matter.
We're all having
all right.
technical problems today.
It's all right. We'll figure it out. All right, go to the next site. There we go. Excellent. All right, so here's some news which I thought was really interesting. Elon Musk's AI officially sues Apple and OpenAI over antitrust violation, which I thought was really interesting because, we know that he doesn't like OpenAI. We know that he is really kind of hurt by him. There's this real hurt. And I think what's interesting.
Interesting. Hey, I got it.
Yay.
I think Elon has at some point sued everybody in AI. At one point, he sues Sam Altman, then he drops the case, then he sues the joint venture AI or Sam Altman and Microsoft have. And then he sues the nonprofit board, and then he sues the private corporation side of ChatGPT or whatever it is. But there, you know, there's big money. I mean, there's big money in this AI stuff, and not in earning it right now, just in deploying it. Yeah. And when their big money comes out, the big guns come out, and all the shenanigans that you could possibly imagine happen. Like when they tried to force Sam Altman out, those that board saw the money that was coming, and they're like, Sam's gonna get too much of it, and they're like, let's get rid of Sam, and then we'll get more of the billions. Didn't work out.
Well, what I thought was interesting is that, I mean, apart from that circumstance, a lot of the employees really backed Sam Altman. They said if he leaves, we leave. You know, if he leaves, we leave. And that was a huge, like, shocker. Like, I think for that board of like, wait, what? Now that we're watching so many people leave Sam Altman to go to Facebook to hang out with Zuckerberg, I think is really interesting. Now, granted, the fact that he's paying them like literally $3 to $5 million, if not much higher than that. I mean, I think there might even come a point where they start.
Dude, he's paying him 50 to 100 million.
I meant, sorry, yeah. I said 5 million. I'm sorry. I don't know why I said, 50 to 100 million. I mean, we're talking, these are crazy numbers. But I think and jumping back to Elon Musk in relationship to this man trusted Sam Altman. They must have had multiple times where they talked about how to keep AI safe and what's actually happening. Behind the scenes now is more like, this is more of a man who was hurt, trusted somebody, and is in conflict of going, I understand the industry. I know that we need this, but I don't like how he handled this. I feel like that's really where this is the crux of it. And just the fact that he pushes so hard with he pushes so hard on OpenAI versus, let's say, Zuckerberg, right? Zuckerberg isn't, you know, there are some things he could go after Zuckerberg because some of the stuff that he's done, but he doesn't. He focuses more on Altman because there's some type of personal vendetta that he feels towards Sam because of the closeness of the relationship. And I feel like that is one of those things that I think could hurt him, you know, especially with so many of his other businesses. I mean,
it's like they both had sex with the same woman and Elon's pissed about it. Or Sam is, one of the two. Well, one of the executives, I don't know the story, is the mother of twins of Elon. You know, and so it's very could be, you know, rich guys pissing over a woman, and when that happens, you know, they throw a lot of money. They turn personal problems into expensive problems.
Yeah, he's gay though. Sam Altman's gay.
That makes not a whim of a difference. When money, stature, and power is involved, not even the slightest. Could have been 10 years ago before someone knew, or, you know, needed a beard wife, the old thing.
I don't know about that one, but I'm not gonna go there. But what I am saying though
is a little crazy, but I'll go with it.
All right. But I think what it has to do with is more or less about you go into business with somebody. You both have these visions and dreams. You both agree on these visions and dreams and say, all right, this will be good, right? I'll help fund you and build this up and literally bring the money back in behind this. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, by the way, your right-hand man stabs you in the back and you look back and go, E2 Brutus, right? Like, et tu Brutus, right? And so I feel like that's really where this stems from more than anything. And he's still trying to figure out how to struggle. I mean, when you hear Trump talk about how Elon Musk really doesn't like Sam Altman. So it's just really interesting. Let's jump back here to the US dollar here while we're here. So
the US dollar.
Yeah, so the US dollar here, or the US dollars, you know, the amalgamation between the US dollar, the yen, and the
Dixie.
euro, the Dixie. Oh, yeah. So what's interesting is that we've been watching it play here, as Tom says, idiot box between that 190, or excuse me, the 98 area and 97 area. And what I think is interesting is, as we're looking at this here, this play here is really nice. So if you're looking to capture this up, I expect this thing to go again higher, but the key is it has some resistance. We've seen the 100-day period moving average fight it a couple times now already. So you can see here, we fought it right here, that 100-day period, which is sitting right here. And then also right here, you can see here as it played against this here. So I want to point this out, that as we come back and test this again, we want to see it get above this, and we want to see it come down when it comes down and find support. So basically something that plays like this, kind of goes like this, and we want to see it continue up. Now again, it's all based off of two things, right? One being the need for the US dollar, but most important, right? Also that need that correlates with a lot of the come on, brain. The need for the economic trade. Wow, it was so hard to sit there and say. For trade around the world, and the need for the US dollar. If we don't see an increase in trade that's really pushing, then we're going to see a slowdown in everything. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it correlates here. But my biggest thing is this, is I think we're going to see a US dollar get up to around that 102 to 103 area here. We can already see that we've put in a low, higher low, higher low, high, higher high, and the next one should be another higher high, which will be around here, which is going to be that 102, 103. So it's going to be a nice little play here. And as that plays out, we can sit there and know that most likely that our dollar will influence crude oil. So as it increases, we potentially could see crude oil basically go down, because it's going to cost more money for crude oil. So it's one of those things to be paying attention to. Again, I've talked about us playing off of that 64 to 50, or we've talked about the lower areas here of that 55 area, but I just think we're going to go lower. That's why I think, because you can see here, you know, the low, lower low, low, lower low, right? So the next leg down, you can see as we're moving up, we talked about this. As we're moving up, we're seeing volume, buyer volume drop off, right? And we're not seeing any demand wicks. So it was a quick little area. You knew that they were going to bring it back down. So that next level is going to be around 60 to 59 area. And I think this is where we're going to see again that next lower low that comes in. It's going to be around this lower level here. So it's something that I'm paying attention to. Crude oil. So that's crude oil. Let's check out the GC, or which is gold. We're watching gold starting to pick up again. We revised our yearly target. I said our target is going to be that 3801 or the 3800 area for a couple of particular reasons. But we're already starting to put the next leg up. We're starting to see the increase in buyer volume that got above yesterday just alone, or on Friday we saw it get above the average volume traded. And so I'm expecting to see this thing continue up, and we should see it. And in correlation with that is going to also indicate we could see some economic turmoil kick in. If we do start to see economic turmoil kick in, I would expect us to see major moves, right, with the VIX, right? So let's check out the VIX here, which is basically the volatility index that lets us know if there's going to be volatility kicking in. Where are you at, buddy? VIX, not the DAX. Let me just put it in here for whatever reason. It's not the VIX. Volatility index. And so we're not seeing much of this right now, but if I'm seeing gold push up and I'm watching us starting to top off on the US indexes, I'm expecting to see some volatility kick in and some craziness to happen. We'll stand by, like I said, I'm monitoring what's happening here. But I just feel like some stuff is going to happen where we're going to see things really start to unhinge here once they really start to go over real numbers. So hopefully they do. I'm expecting us to get above the 22 and potentially even much higher. But we'll see what happens. We're not really seeing much here, but right now we're just kind of chilling. What is this here real quick?
Hold on, this volatility chart, Pedro, it cracks me up. Like the chart, like every chart goes up and down past its median range or average range, whatever. But the volatility chart can only go up and back to zero. It doesn't go negative, you know?
Well, it's all based off of options.
Right.
And so what they do is,
So the further it gets away from zero, the more volatile. But it like take the label off of it, and a technical analyst would go, wow, this chart has an amazing floor. For years, it's just never gone below. Whatever.
Yeah, definitely. It's always interesting to see, like when you look and you stem back, you have 2008. 2008, I remember when it hit that 89. And at the time, I didn't have any money. And I remember talking to a girlfriend of mine saying, put a short on this, which was the most foolish thing. I'm 28 years old and a knucklehead. She goes,
wow,
what?
Short would have worked.
It would have. But do you understand that?
Didn't get laid that night.
Oh, I always got laid, bro. Never known a time I didn't. Sorry, that's arrogant. I don't mean it like that. But it's true though. But what I'm saying though is that these movements here, right, are big moves. Like this is when it moves at $100 marks, right? So you're putting in, you've got to have a decent size account. And it was foolish of me to even bring that up. Again, I'm a 28-year-old idiot. So I still look back. My bad, Miss Gerhardt. That was the most stupidest thing, in case you ever watched this. So anyhow, you can see here though that these levels here, I would expect us to see it. Now, granted, this was back during Mr. Trump's foolish talks that he was talking about, but in the same sense, I would expect us to see kind of get back up to these levels if things really start to unfold as I expect. Now let's pull back into here, into MicroStrategies here. MicroStrategies have been seeing a bit of a sell-off because of what's happening with Bitcoin, especially with the words that Mr. What's his name?
Saylor?
No, not Mr. Saylor. What Secretary of the Treasury said
Bessert?
for Bitcoin. Yeah, Bessert. Basically saying that, the U.S. government is not going to be buying Bitcoin, like on the open market.
Over the counter.
Over the counter, yeah.
I mean, on the market, they'll acquire it in other means, meaning that they'll just buy MicroStrategy.
Well, I just simply think, just like we saw them step in back during, not Theodore Roosevelt, was it Eisenhower? I think it was Eisenhower who came in and literally took gold. When they refinanced gold, they sat there and said they would buy it from the public, and then from there, when they did it, they issued them a $25 gift certificate, or not a certificate of gold, and then they jumped it up all the way up to $40 or $44, right? Like you talk about just raw.
That's like when you drive away from the drive-through and your fries are cold, or they took them out of the fryer early, and you're like, oh, I got fucked at the drive-through. Ah. Yeah.
That's what I think. That's what probably happened with Trump. Trump is a little loose on the Constitution in certain areas, and it would be good. I mean, literally just come in and say, all right, if you got Bitcoin, we'll buy it for $100,000. each Bitcoin, or maybe 75,000, and then they reestablish it as a, like a $200,000 Bitcoin, and you get 50% shave on it. You're like, dude,
foiled.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Pedro. I'm gonna do the thing here, ladies and gentlemen. For those who right back.
Got a couple other things here. I think it's going to be really
All
interesting.
right, everybody. Thanks for everyone on YouTube, X, LinkedIn, and whomever on Facebook for sitting through the ad. We've got just about 10 minutes left in the show here. Pedro's got a couple more things to say on that, and then we'll be off until tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Alrighty. Okay, so you guys can see here real quick what we're looking at. I'm expecting us to kind of come down for strategy. This is going to be an exaggerated move for strategy. Now, I want to pick up strategy at these lower levels. And the reason why is, now that I understand what Saylor's trying to do, and he's trying to be the base layer in relationship to the treasury, be a treasury for Bitcoin, he will be able to take loans on Bitcoin or give out loans in relationship to this in the future. And so I want to be able to there's a few option strategies you can actually play off of this. And so I'm actually going to start to buy strategy on a few platforms and then take part in the option strategies in relationship to it.
Welcome, Carmen Crypto, to the house. Thanks for joining us, Carmen Crypto.
So I'm expecting us to come all the way down. What's up, Carmen? Good to have you. Down at these lower levels of 202 and potentially that 144 area that I was expecting us. The fact that we came and hit this area here and we saw it, now we're seeing the sell-off kick in. I'm expecting this to continue down. Now, we potentially could see a bounce off of that 400 that correlates this, but I think people are going to sell off strategy more so than Bitcoin. Literally because I think Bitcoin is the asset itself. And now that there's so many ways for you to take advantage of Bitcoin, you don't necessarily need strategy for that. Whereas prior to a lot of the legislation, you couldn't You literally couldn't. So it's just like one of those things that, what are you gonna do?
Just one of them things.
Yeah, so the fact is that people are going to go to other places, and we'll see strategy kind of drop off here. But again, I don't think it's a dead project. I think very much that what he's doing is smart, but I'm just going to capture this as it comes down. So be ready. I could only hope it gets back down to that 144 area. That would be like the bomb diggity, no doubt. Shout out. Whoop, whoop. It sounds funny, but it's just how it is. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell for that. And then we can go into BTC ETH. We talked about it coming back down to these lower levels here. Also, let's check out BNB, because BNB is still strong, man. They're like ETH. It's just, they're beastly. Look at them, dude. Like, they're still strong. They're I think they're 50 points from their high of last week. They're pulling back. Nice little sell-off, but hardly any supply wicks as they're coming down. So, probably we'll see another all-time high into next week. Again, I still think we potentially could see an 1800 BNB here at the end of the bull run. XRP is playing the same route. You can see here that, or not playing the same route. It's playing the same route as Bitcoin. You can see here, but the thing is I think we'll see some people step in around that 260 area. I actually heard a lot of people talk about, XRP isn't doing anything. I'm not seeing any money. I'm like, well, when did you buy it? And they're like, down to like the 30 cents, 50 cents. I said, dude, be quiet. They're like, excuse me? I'm like, you tell me what stock that you can buy, that you buy for 50 cents.
5x.
And it gets all the way up in literally a year and a half, 2 years. I am not an XRP guy, but the reality is that, hey, it's a 5x, dude. Like,
free money. You're a free money guy, right?
Yeah, and at its peak, if you bought it around that 30 cent area, right? Like, dude, that's easily a 12x. So get out of here with that.
Although the great Twitter and YouTube verse of XRP is either doom, like, oh my gosh, what's up, or any little news at all, and there's 70 videos about big news, XRP, big news, big news, big news, and the price goes down.
Yeah, makes no sense. Speaking of XRP, its sister cousin over here. Stellar, yep. XLM. You can see here we've been playing off of these liquidity areas of that 51 cent to that 35 cent or 37 cent area here, kind of going back and forth. So we'll see what happens here when it comes to the stablecoin initiative. Are banks going to use XRP and Stellar to establish the CBDCs?
This is a great. You know what? I spent a little bit more time looking into Stellar. I've been a user of Stellar for payments for a long time, paying people internationally and that type of stuff. And what I didn't realize, I thought it was literally just a fork of XRP, that the owner, because the guy that started Stellar founded XRP or Ripple. They got in a fight about what to do with it. And this was not with Garlinghouse, this is before he was even involved. He said, wait, you guys are wanting to make this silo where only XRP tech can be used and the banks have to use XRP. He said, they're not going to want to rely on another company. They're going to, they want to rely on a protocol like Bitcoin or something like that that's independent. And what I didn't realize is Stellar is built more independently than, I should say, more decentralized than Ripple. Kind of the same thing. It's a fork of it, but then they went and made their own technology. But it's its own thing, and it's more decentralized. Instead of a select group of validators that are company approved, essentially the company itself, they have a distributed network. It's a little different, and I'm learning a little bit more in that. Pedro and I are actually going to talk more about Stellar in an upcoming Rumble Premium episode, and get into the guts of why it's different than XRP. And so, in just the basic research I've done, Pedro, I like Stellar more than I like Ripple. First of all, they're not as evil. I mean, they are pushing CBDCs, stuff like that, but they're pushing them in a different way that doesn't give anyone that ultimate control to turn things on and off. Or to make your CBDC more valuable than your CBDC, or all the things we complain about. So it's an interesting learning about it, and the more I learn about it, the more I think that price of Stellar should go higher than Ripple. The more I learn about it, the more I think Ripple should go out of business. It's just not going to happen. Thanks to everyone that's been watching today. We're coming to the end of the show here. Carmen Crypto says, I've been swamped with wedding planning. Mr. Carmen Crypto coming November 2025. So good luck with that. It's going to be Las Vegas' hottest event. All the strippers are going to be coming from LA for this event. The Southwest flights will be crammed with strippers. Where are you guys going? Is it the UFC fight? Is Tyson coming back for another Jake Paul fight? No, Carmen Crypto's getting married. Whoa! They're the new Brightline will be finished. The high-speed train will be bringing them in.
Can I come? Am I invited or?
I remember one time, Pedro, when I lived in Los Angeles and went with the guys I worked with at a car dealership out there. It was right when the movie Swingers came out, right after the movie Swingers came out with Vince Vaughn and crew. They were making the road trip to Vegas all the time. And so we decided to do that. And we stopped in halfway there. It's wherever that tall thermometer is. Is it maybe Barstow or something, one of those towns halfway between Los Angeles and the California border. And there's a gas station there, and something's off at the gas station. We're like, well, something's wrong. We're in the middle of the desert. There's a giant thermometer saying that it's 110 degrees. There's like an RV with some family members, and then there's all these like women in sweats, and I'm like, this is weird. I mean, it's hot. It's hot. There's all these women, and then you notice they all have like these eyelashes on, and you're like, what's going on here? My buddy smacks me on the head. And he goes, those are all the strippers going to Vegas for the weekend. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, they get in vans. They either take Southwest Airlines or they get together and rent a van and all drive up together. It was the funniest scene. I was like, how sad is that? But anyway, it was funny. So Carmen Crypto, I hope your event is as popular to bring in the crowds from LA so that there's fights at all the casinos. The I-15 is just nothing but bumper-to-bumper traffic on Friday and then driving back on Sunday night. That's when you know your event's a success.
But I mean, am I invited? Like, I just want to know. Like, can I come? Like,
yeah, we'll be invited if we buy a ticket.
I'll buy a ticket.
I don't mean an airline ticket. I mean, she's going to charge you $95 and plus buffet costs. It's Vegas, after all, Unless you come bringing gambling money, you're not getting anything for free.
I'll come and play. I mean, as long as, like I told you, my strategy, I've never lost in Vegas. I've never lost once. I've never lost at the and every time I've always walked away with a lot more money than when I've walked out, and that's with that's roulette. But I need a lot of people. I need a lot of people playing because my strategy hinges on other people playing. I basically played like the house when I play, and so Carmen, you gotta let me know if I'm invited. So, let me know. I'll come through. By the way, when is it? So I can plan accordingly. Anyways, all right, next. All right, so we've been playing here quite a bit, but honestly, the top 10, as we know, like when it comes to meme coins stuff, it's just kind of stagnant right now. The idiot box is real in relationship to what we're seeing in the market, and we just kind of seen volume just drop off here. Look at the volume over the last month in August. Now, this is indicative of August. Typically, when it comes to trading, people basically sell in May and come back, sell in May and come back in September. So that's one of those things that we'll see. And we've kind of been watching that. It's kind of been just a chilled out, hangout summer so far. You can see just we really haven't pushed out in one way or the other. I thought we were going to have a stronger winter or a stronger summer, but it really didn't. So we kind of just been playing in between liquidity pools. Markets are out there really kind of just playing between liquidity pools is what we're seeing. So I'm kind of excited because come September, we're seeing things we're 4 more days away from September, and we should see some volume start to see a step back in, especially with earnings coming in into September and October. I think we're going to see some big movements, whether that's up or down. Again, to me, volatility is what's most important. So it helps me out the most. Give me 1 second. I'm working through this, man. So sorry.
Working through it.
So I probably shouldn't eat that pizza.
I still got 1 slice left, unless somebody absconded with it over here. Pedro, it is that time of the day. I've got a lot of stuff to do this afternoon. Help out with the real world stuff, and Mrs. Striking always has a list of things for me to help her with, and absolutely. I enjoy doing that, so I have to go do that. Let's get the right screen up here. I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of lo-fi light rock song that's been playing in the background the whole time today.
Lo-fi light rock song. I like the way that sounds. I don't know why it does.
Today on 88.7 Light Rock.
Light rock. Yeah. One last thing before we go. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but you had what's his name? Why am I forgetting his name? Hegseth and Kennedy talk about at least being able to do 10 pull-ups. What was it? Was it 50 pull-ups and 100 push-ups? Right? And
yes, I remember that. Yeah.
Dude, I think, and people are now making such a big deal over it, but I'm like, wait. If you can't do that, you should strive to want to be able to do that. Like I remember I used to do a thing in the military where we did 1 push-up or 1 pull-up, 2 push-ups, 3 bar dips, and 4 chin-ups. Or no, sorry. Pull-ups, bar dips. That's what pull-ups, bar dips, push-ups, and chin-ups. And so it was 1, 2, 3. And then 2, and then every pull-up you did 1, you multiplied it by itself, right? Like 1 multiply 2, multiply by 3, multiply 4. So by the time you got to 10 pull-ups, right? You've done, you're basically trying to do about 1, 2, 30 push-ups, which doesn't seem like a lot. But the thing is when you're doing 10 sets of these, and each time you're adding, and then what you do is you then go down, right? So then once you hit 10, you do 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, right? And it takes you about an hour and a half. Like if you really do it, like straight up. Wait, what? All right, I gotta go. I'm in urgent care right now. Now waiting to be.
All right, no, don't say that in the air. Crypto Mike says, how about we get a Winnipeg annual meeting together? I don't know if that's going to happen, Crypto Mike. But I still have not been to Winnipeg. I am not sure. I may have driven through it in the late 90s when I made a couple of jaunts across that part of the world. I may have driven through it. Not sure.
I gotta go, man. I love you, dude, but I gotta go.
Sorry, all right, guys. Pedro, have a good time.
Yeah, pleasure. Thank you, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed Technical Tuesday. If you have any questions, any concerns, please reach out, make a comment in our section, and we'll handle it, all right? Talk to you guys soon. Sorry about that, Tom.
All right, Pedro. Adios. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Pedro's off here. Thanks, everyone that joined us on the various platforms today. Really, really appreciate it. As always, having a little fun with learning about my newest technical difficulties with this junky software. But anyway, that's all we got for you today, ladies and gentlemen. As always, my name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. So glad to have hosted another episode of DYOR Live. Pedro and I will be with you again shortly. So make sure you tune in and set your clocks and join us. I can't find my end button here. There it is. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the light version of Technical Tuesday, and now enjoy the credits as they roll. We'll see you tomorrow.